We have Congressman Patrick McHenry on with us. He is from North Carolina, and he's going to give us the update on the Federal Reserve and digital currency and what's really happening. Congressman, how are you, sir?
Great to be with you, Glenn. Thanks for the time.
You bet. This is really a weird topic in America because people either deny that this could happen, or they say things like, "We already have a digital currency. I never use cash." A, can you verify that this is the direction of the Treasury and the Fed? And B, explain the difference between a Fed coin, if you will, and us just having a debit card.
Well, Glenn, you're the best educator on a broad array of subjects here. So let's start with the basics of what is a digital currency or digital asset. So let's think of the internet first. The first iteration of the web was, in essence, a reading mechanism. So you see, you pull up the information on Glenn Beck. It says the program's at this time, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. That's Web 1. Web 2 is read and write. So let's think of this as, let's say, Facebook or Twitter. So you have a corporation that creates the venue, and then we are able to communicate through that venue, and the benefit accrues to that corporation because they own the code, and they own the operations, and they monetize our actions on Web 2. There are a number of problems with this, and we've addressed that in terms of speech bias and everything else that needs to be addressed. Web 3 is around digital assets, and that it means that our interactions, we can actually have a stake in our interactions, and the bytes and bits that we're exchanging via the web, we can actually have money, if you will, connected with that movement of code. And so Web 3 can cure a number of the ills of Web 2, and it's born out of Bitcoin and a distributed ledger technology that we call a blockchain. And the way to open the door within a blockchain technology is a cryptocurrency. So you could call it Bitcoin is probably the best example for us. That key opens the door. Just like when you go home, you own your house, but the key is the representation that you actually own your house. You can grant other people keys, but that doesn't tell them that they own it. Digital keys have a special set of capacity. That is born out of technology and a distributed open ledger. Anyone can participate in Bitcoin. You can get in, you can get out. It's on the ledger, and it's public information that you've purchased or sold a quantity of Bitcoin, and that is in the ledger. Those exchanges are open. Now, what we're talking about with the Federal Reserve and with digital U.S. dollars is a very different concept. Most of our money that we exchange is digital right now, and banks to banks do that. They don't actually move physical currency like they did 50 years ago. And that means that they can, through the relationship with the Federal Reserve, on a ledger, if you will, a spreadsheet, if you will, exchange value between institutions and therefore our accounts within those institutions. What the Federal Reserve is contemplating is something that looks much more like that open ledger of some sort, and our money, our U.S. dollar, would be a representation on that open ledger. Well, that's fine, well and good. Except there are a number of civil liberties concerns when you have the government in the midst of your technology exchange. And those civil liberties concerns we have to address if we're going to have a blockchain-enabled U.S. dollar or U.S. dollar or Federal Reserve-backed digital asset.
So they are not, from everything I've read, they are not really interested in the blockchain part of it. Look, I'm talking to Congressman Patrick McHenry on good authority, as several congressmen have said, if the Republicans take the House, he'll be the next chairman of financial services. So you know this stuff inside and out. They're talking about a programmable currency, which would fit right into modern monetary theory, which is what we're doing now. Print, 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 as long as you can control labor, production, and spending down to the smallest level.
Yes. And so when you have this technology that's freely available and it's open, an open technology that is very different than a closed-off system that the government runs. So, yes, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury are contemplating, and they've already put out white papers about central bank digital currency. What the left likes about this is that you could have an account with the Federal Reserve. That means instead of your bank account in the traditional system of lending in this country, which is almost entirely a private sector endeavor, this would give the government much more control. The hope for the left is that they can effectuate their left-wing, beliefs through the financial system, and most explicitly, if the government is in direct power of lending. This is precisely what the Chinese are contemplating with their digital yuan. They want to know that you and I purchase lunch, and Glenn sends me $15 to pay for his share of whatever we had. Well, the government would be able to track that, and what the Chinese want, if you have a digital currency, the government would be able to track that. And what the Chinese want is precisely that information, precisely your movement information of data, and the value exchange between people. What our concern is here in the United States is that in our constitutional order, the government is not entitled to that type of information. And in our Constitution, the power of currency is not explicitly reserved to governments. But it is. But when the government engages in that type of creation in our monetary system, our Constitution contemplates that Congress has to authorize that. And the Federal Reserve has admitted this and said, no, Congress would have to legislate if we're going to have a central bank digital currency or a Federal Reserve-backed digital currency. And so I think it's important that Congress be involved in this and be the driving force if we're even going to contemplate something like what the Chinese are contemplating.
Why wouldn't we just let the private market work this out? Bitcoin. One of the reasons it has such fluctuation is because the government keeps spooking everybody. Why wouldn't we just say, all right, there's coins out there available and they're not being tracked, and it's an easy way for people to do this. Why don't we get out of that business?
Well, because it's the federal government, and right. I mean, you look at it and you're like, why did the bear bite someone?
Right, well, it's a bear.
Bear.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So they want control, and when they see movement in the private sector, they want to first have the data of what the exchange was. And then once they have the data, this is kind of axiomatic that Reagan exemplified this best, and so then they want to regulate it. Mm-hmm. Then they want to regulate it so much so that they have to subsidize it, right? And then they want it to be a federal property. So you look at what they've done with student loans, what the left has done with student loans, and they've foisted a generation with greater debt because of a government program. So here they want to be able to control this vital lever of governmental power, which is the power over currency and the value of currency. You've explained this very well about inflation and how nefarious inflation is. The government wants greater control of the money supply, and that is it's a motivation of government since the beginning of time. And if you can determine the value of a thing, it is this enormous power over all these other issues in society.
The odds of Congress approving this in a non-emergency?
Low.
The odds of Congress approving this in an emergency?
Well, frighteningly high.
Yeah.
So you think of the emergency they had around the traffic jam in their capital in Canada.
Yep.
Because people parked their vehicles and inconvenienced a city. And therefore, the government of Canada took and seized people's bank accounts because they were inconveniencing people in creating a massive traffic event in a city. So what we have to do is ward against the federal government here in the United States doing something as insane as what the Canadians do. And I'm going to work very hard to make sure that our regulators don't have any of those powers to seize people's bank accounts or to stop the flow of money around people's political decisions and political debate.
This sounds like a guy who has got to be fighting against ESG.
For sure. And what we have to do is have a counterpoint to liberal money and the progressive agenda that is driving the pension funds, that's driving the investment in companies, driving the valuation of companies. And if we don't have a conservative counterpoint to the insanity of ESG, we are going to be in a dramatically worse position, and we're going to allow the rest of the globe catch up to us economically because of our stupidity. What we should not do is incorporate the German energy policy to the United States, which is expressly what the Biden administration is doing.
Have we ever met, Patrick? Because you're like a brother from another mother here.
I've been listening to you for years.
Oh, wow.
And so inspiration for sure, and I'm grateful for it, and grateful for the education you provide.
Wow, thank you very much. Well, anything I can do, you are on the right track, and I don't think there is anything more important in this next election than dismantling this. I don't even know what you would call it, racketeering or mob tactics to our financial services through ESG. It is the end of us, just as much as modern monetary theory will be the end of us. And strangely, they're connected.
They are. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Anything we can do to help you, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Great to be with you.
You bet. That's Congressman Patrick McHenry, who, if the Republicans take the House, he would be the chairman of financial services. And after talking to him, I like that a lot.